That's interesting. Well, most of y'all mentioned that practical knowledge is everything, but how you keep yourself updated with changes in technology, the evolution of AI, and how that's going to impact your industry?
So AI is a very interesting subject right now in my studio. So we've created this room where all these interns and the juniors who are joining are exploring with the softwares like Midjourney, this, that, and what it can bring to the table for our projects. While I feel and I agree with what has been said here already, that you know what we feel traditionally is that you basically, it's like Pinterest. I really hate it when you give an exercise to a junior and they just come with some a few Pinterest pictures, and this is like the most disappointing thing, because even our clients, they would type a master bedroom for this and that, and you get the same amount of pictures. So it's the same with AI, but also what I feel now is where AI can really help as a tool, but it cannot replace the architect. It cannot replace the architect in its entirety. It can really help you in certain aspects, especially conceptualizing a design. So let's say if you have a certain concept in your mind, and let's say and it's a constant learning process also with these softwares, because they are also transforming by the day as we speak. So when you are initially presenting to a client, it would take us at least about a month to draw up a conceptual presentation, and we could come up maximum with 2 options. And now today we can show the iteration of a similar design, like 10 iterations of it, in various ways and quickly and faster. So I feel that way it's a very good helping tool. And we're learning from it. AI is learning from us, how we are shaping AI and AI is shaping us. And I think for now we are really benefiting at the conceptual stage. I wouldn't take it too far beyond that. Once you decide on a line or a concept, I mean, to build on that is really up to our team, and the AI. For now, I don't think it can help us.
Because see, even AI does draw inspiration from data that already exists.
Exactly, it's
All it
learning.
does is does a permutation combination based on the prompts that you give it, right? So that is what AI is today. So definitely, like you said, you can draw some ideas out of it, but I feel that just it's kind of can consume you in a way where we shouldn't be spending too much time on either social media or AI, because again, for technical knowledge, like you're saying, how do you kind of stay updated in this field? Because we all have our projects and we're so busy delivering that. um, I was talking to Manit before we started this podcast, that it would be so nice for students like to have practical knowledge, for even for us as designers to go to the origin of the product. For example, if we're talking about marble, to visit a quarry, for example, and see the entire process of how a marble is manufactured from the quarry all the way till what we're seeing here in the background. So just understanding, getting technical, in-depth knowledge of any product, whether it is a stone, it's a wood, it's a lighting installation, or to understand the technical aspects of automation, whatever it may be. And again, that keeps evolving, right? It keeps changing, technology is changing. But for us to probably visit a trade fair or to go with our suppliers and see firsthand what is in the market internationally, globally, that's what really keeps us up to date. Because if we have that knowledge, we can deliver the best to our client.
Yeah, I think trade shows are an excellent way of exploring new materials and new technologies and so on. I think a lot of these days, if you're very hands-on with internet also, there's a lot of data in terms of technical specifications that is available as well. And just with a phone call, the vendor companies today are so good. They'll come up with a whole team with presentations, with this and that. So even like, having visited IDAC yesterday, most of these companies, we've invited them to the office to give us a presentation. I think trade shows, again, are a very informative and a good window.
Tell my clients, like, instead of just, a lot of them, and I'm sure we all face that, when we start a project, they'll keep sending us these Instagram reels from like different places, and it's a complete disaster. They think that, that is what is available in the market and that's the big thing to use. And I'm like, no, just go to these fairs, go to these shops, go around the city, go around the country, see what is available today, and see if you like it. Like, touch it, feel it, see it, sit on it, ask them the price, whether it fits in your budget, and if it doesn't, what's the alternative, So it's not just for us, but I also feel for clients, these fairs become very important. And I always tell them, even before onboarding them, before giving me a budget, go around and look at what is there so that you know what the budget should be. Then you dictate it to us rather than me dictating it to you.
No, they need to touch and feel the product, because what's happening is that social media, now there's an entire new sphere of a profession called bloggers, right? Now what bloggers are doing is that, I mean, they're great because they are educating in a certain way, especially to youngsters, maybe to a certain extent also us, where they're talking about the new technologies, new stores, new brands, but we are not seeing the quality in person, right? It kind of is monetizing for them, so it's more financial for them. But when you go and physically see, you touch and feel, you understand the quality of a product, then you know why we recommend what we recommend for a certain price point. It's like a Rolls Royce versus a entry-level car. There's a reason why they're demanding a premium, because they're giving you the best quality there is. So there's a reason why. So luxury again is not only a price tag. It is about the sense of well-being. It's about catering to all senses, not only visual, which is happening now on the smartphone. You're seeing everything visually, everything is on the computer, but life is meeting people and interacting. So that's very important.
See, Pinterest has been like a disaster for us, at least, because our clients will come to us with this beautiful image of, say, a kitchen, and internationally, right, the kitchen is not used the way an Indian kitchen is used. So it can be a beautiful exotic stone in the kitchen because you're not really doing anything in that
The
kitchen.
white kitchen countertop.
Exactly. And they'll come to us and say, it's done here, why can't you do the same thing for us?
Let's open a bottle of pickle on it.
And it's so challenging because, I mean, if you see that online and if you try to sort of replicate it yourself, you won't really understand the pros and cons of it, which is why they need people like us who sort of are trained and have expertise in this field and can say, this can work for you or this can't work for you, and recommend products like accordingly.
Well, we have a solution for that. We've got Kalinga
And
stone.
there goes Manit. And there goes
I was going
Manit.
to say it, but I was like, I'm sure Manit will say it. Also, I forgot to say, I love AI, by the way, because I do a lot of retail pop-up spaces, and what happens is the ideas that you have for these pop-ups, it's a 3-4 day thing, right? So you want to create a space which is very unique and something that hasn't been done before. So it's very challenging for me to then put my idea across to the client through a sketch or through a drawing or through a model, because it would take me weeks or months to even get that one pitch correct. So last year, for example, I wanted to create like this entire chrome room, and I wanted it to be like liquid chrome. How am I supposed to translate that to a client? I put it into Midjourney and Discord, and I got these insane pictures. And while I didn't do the exact thing, I was like, is this the direction you want to go in? And that was so helpful, right? And you can't do that. You couldn't do that 2 years ago.
Live with it, you can't live without it, okay? We just learn to take it in moderation.
Yeah,
That's
it
it.
is that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
made a presentation to the client
Take it
for
like
a
a
villa
drug.
project,
Yes.
It's like a
which was
shot.
done in a week's time.
Wow.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Coming back to my generation, which is Gen Z, and probably the millennials as well, I see a change from buying houses to rental houses now. And I don't see people spending that kind of money on luxury real estate anymore. So how do you think that's going to impact your business, since most of you all come from the luxury residential area?
I think there are two different viewpoints on this. I think as a end user, my husband and I rent a house, and we're super happy because we can keep changing things around. We can, like move around art, have fun with it, because it's not a permanent space, and we know it's not a permanent space. So it gives us that flexibility. But from the point of view as a designer, I'm really scared, because if this is how the future is going to pan out, we're not going to essentially have jobs left, because people hire us when they've got a permanent home that they've invested in, and then they want to have a space designed for durability and longevity. So it's this very tricky balance, and I'm just hoping that, well, we all do so well that we'll all have enough money to to buy a home, afford interior designers, and hopefully not put anyone's career at risk.
But the terrible thing about our profession is that we see such beautiful things around us all the time that even if we are in a rental, we want the best for us at least all the time. But yeah, coming to clients, like I strongly feel like, the creativity also of a designer comes out when they're, thrown, into a challenge of fitting a certain requirement in a budget. Obviously, we've had, clients where they've come up with budgets and we're like, it's just not doable, but we'll meet somewhere in the middle. And I think that's what pushes our office as well, you know, kind of be a little more creative, come up with more different ideas on how we could come, you know, just come into this middle ground for us and them. So I don't think our jobs are dying for sure.
No, but this is an interesting question because I feel that if you think about 100 years ago, and 100 years ago, for us to think that people would be hiring architects, interior designers, there were one or two people in the society who would probably, you know, the richest person in the village or somebody would actually get a design done or whatever, whatever. Even the Maharajas would hire somebody from Paris or, you know, the likes of them. But the larger population was not really hiring because we were mostly below the poverty line. Even then, and now the profession is evolving with the economic times, and I think, like you said, Gen Z, millennials, whatever is to come and above and beyond that also, I think the profession itself will evolve. Even you guys would love.
Feel, yeah, no, of course. Just to take it forward to what you all said, definitely it's valid that people are also moving towards rented spaces because it allows you the flexibility. But at the same time, I feel with the amount of real estate development that's happening in India and especially in Bombay, it's more of an aspiration to own a home for people, right? So after you accomplish and you reach a certain level in life, I've seen that you do want to own your own home more from the standpoint of having security.
But you know, the viewpoint from there is like somebody like Manit. I mean, he's studied abroad. He's going to be the next generation and face of a family-owned company. In my opinion, he doesn't care about owning a place. Do you, Manit?
Not at all.
That's the point. So I think what is really important is for a generation like him, they are here to have the experience of the space. They are not here to maintain the space.
Yes.
So it's a completely different perspective and outlook.
No, it
to
is
life.
absolutely. But see, that again comes when you already have your family that's established. But when you don't, and say you're in a new city or you're living nuclear, it is kind of an aspiration which I think I've seen in a lot of people from diverse fields, that this pleasure that you get from owning your own home, it's a dream of mine as well. Like I have this dream of owning a certain kind of a home which is very, very vivid in my mind. So that is something that you can't take away from people. And again, when it comes to luxury interiors, like you said, people have access and now are very well traveled. So they have global access to materials, products. When they see value in something that also might be priced a little higher than what their budget is, they are willing to go that extra mile. So I don't feel that the luxury segment is going to get impacted. You just need to attract the right kind of people. And again, there are a lot of big box retailers like an IKEA, etc., who are coming, who are also catering to the market of rental homes, which is faster, which I mean, you don't have to invest so much money, and then you can keep on changing it.
So even IKEA is employing very good designers to come up with very interesting designs for movable solutions, you know, for a generation like this, perhaps, because you would really like a cool idea rather than to go with something that has more status and value. You would prefer a cool idea, and that's what IKEA is also catering to. So I think, like I said, the industry would evolve with the times.
Yes, and it's a different time in your life. So when you're younger, you want to stay in maybe a rental space because you want to build that capital and then let that capital work for you, right? But after a certain point in life, say down the line, we will notice that we would want to own a home.
Well, that's an interesting argument, but talking about aspirations, when do you think marble became that aspirational luxury product? Because it's been there for generations, it's been used widely everywhere. How come suddenly it's become that luxurious product that everyone wants to apply in their house?
Not suddenly. I feel marble is always looked upon like a jewelry in the house. It's always been the case, you know. I remember, you know, when you visit a home of a relative, and they would proudly show off their marble, as if it's a great achievement. And now with you know, a greater access to the Brazilian varieties, the Italians, the French, you know, more and more imports being readily available to the local markets, I think it's becoming more widespread now.
In fact, what you said about jewelry is so true, because jewelry is something that's timeless. A diamond comes down generations, and with marble it's the same thing because it stands the test of time. A lot of us have tried, you know, in situ surfaces, like all these things, they date. They're not something that's going, you know, you're going to like today and you're going to like 20 years down the line. But marble is something that not only stands the test of time. It still looks good after 10, 12 years. You can keep polishing it and it still will get that, it'll give you that wow
It's
factor.
nature.
Yeah.
It's nature. It's always been there. It will be there.
Yeah.
It's always
So it's
going
not
to be
sudden
there.
actually.
It's also the temples, for example. If you see the Indian temples, you see the karigari that we have, the skilled workmanship that we have in India. I feel that marble is a material that has been seen since, I mean, hundreds and thousands of years.
That's good. But if a client decides to take matters into their own hand and decides to work on plumbing or civil or electrical, I feel like that would be completely negating the purpose of hiring a designer, because we are trained in this field where we have this expertise. And like Jannat said, with each project, you learn so much and you evolve so much that you have so much more experience to give back. So it's really important for when clients are looking online at design influencers to know when to draw the line. And maybe, yes, follow it to a certain extent when it comes to softer furnishings, which are easily replaceable. But when it comes to the main important things, I think it should be left to trustworthy, licensed professionals.
It's as good as, like, I mean, just any kind of platforms, today, like, if they're used as tools to just explain to the opposite person what they're trying to say, it's okay. But if they're saying that this is what I want to do for my, atypical solution,
Oh, it's a nightmare.
that's a nightmare. That's a problem.
That's
I
when
mean,
your work as a psychiatrist begins.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm okay. They can bring in those ideas if they want to communicate what's in their mind to us, because maybe they're not able to say it, which is fair enough. But yeah, it becomes a big problem for us when they get Pinterest images to us saying this is what I want, or influencer videos saying this is what I want to do, and this is the best solution for this.
That's
And I'll be like, no,
correct,
it does not work in your place.
Okay, I think that's enough for marble now. Let's move on. Let's talk about the brands that you all have created for yourselves. How do you think that impacts where you all are today?
It's all approach doesn't work in our field for sure. And also, again, the influencers may not have that knowledge to recommend something. Like I said, it can be something that's done out of a financial transaction. So it's very important to understand, like you said, what works and doesn't work. So yes, Instagram and these videos are good to kind of gauge the pulse of the client and their style. But then I feel we should leave it there, see a couple of images that they like, that they have found, that they've really loved, and they want to carry it and put it forward in their space. But then after you understand what their functional requirements are, then to adapt that into the space in the best way is, I feel, where our role comes in. Yeah.
Really funny thing happened to me last week. We asked a client, so he's a bachelor and we're making his house in Bandra, and we said, we want to know how you store your clothes, and we want to do the wardrobe design and things like that. Can you tell us what you want and everything like that? And then he sends us a reference image after like 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, okay, great, and he's like, this is what I want. And I was like, oh wow, okay, he knows what he wants. And then we figured out what he had done is he had gone to like one of these AI apps, just typed wardrobes for bachelor with 200 white shirts, some shoes, this, that, and come up with some, and we made a really nice solution, very practical solution. He's like, no, I don't want this and all of that. And he's like, I want this. I'm like, oh, you want this exact thing, and it doesn't work because it's just not practical, it's AI generated. I'm like, what are you doing, So this becomes a big problem for us.
So how do you deal with such clients?
Be very tactical.
Like, which is why I say that you need to know communication skills, and you need to
See, it's important.
sweetly tell them.
It's important, at least in our practice, that especially when you do homes, that your clients connect with you and they feel that you're on board with them. Every time when you negate an idea that I've learned with clients, it doesn't sit well. So there is a point where they feel that you're not with them and you're not. So it's really a craft.
It
It's
has
like,
to be a healthy banter.
exactly. You
The
have to
dialogue-
be on board with
Yes.
them and then
Yeah.
hold their hand and tell them, look, I understand, and I understand this issue and this and that, but let's also explore this. Let's not decide yet. So this is something that you learn with maturity, and initial few years of my practice, like.
Also ensure if they don't listen, we just put it in writing saying that, this may not work, but we will go ahead with whatever you say.
I also feel what has happened with me is that sometimes you learn from your clients. So it's always, say we have a different viewpoint as compared to the client, it's always a healthy discussion, and whoever makes more sense and can convince the other kind of wins the argument. So it works like that. It can also be a situation where the client needs something for a certain reason which we don't envision. Maybe we're just looking at the aesthetic bit, but when we understand the reason why they want it, uh, sometimes, I mean, we are convinced to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, even I've learned that way. Even I've learned a few times, but it's like really out of 100, like really 10 times that you actually feel that yeah, the client is right. And there's this other question of vastu, where we're all trying to understand the concept and everything. So Manit, do you know anything about vastu? And do you know what it is?
I come from a family that believes in Vastu,
Yeah,
but
so
I don't understand
there
the
you
logic
go.
behind it. So why don't one of you all explain it to me?
So Vastu is basically, a lot of people have this belief that if you tend to follow certain principles, you'll become more prosperous or have a life of more well-being. Now, personally, I feel like it's more of a mindset than a tested theory, because there have been times when we've shared a floor plan with 2 different Vastu consultants and got opposite feedback. So what is the actual basis for this theory? So it's always like a very fine line. For example, there's been a time where we were recommended to shift the bed to face a wall instead of facing a window with a beautiful view. So I'm telling the client, look, you have to think about this. Do you want to wake up to a view that's going to make you happy and make you smile every day, or do you want to tick this Vastu compliant box? And 8 out of 10 times, the client will sort of understand that they have to make a compromise in order to come up with the best design solution. But on the alternative, when the client is hell-bent that, look, I want to follow this no matter what, like Nishita rightly said, we just use these challenges to our advantage and try to create something creative out of that.
Vastu is a belief, I feel, like how, and it's like different religions, people have different beliefs. Vastu is, for me, more of that. So I feel, and like you said, it can be very varied. Everyone has a different version of what a layout can be. So, like again, Nishita said, you need to adapt to that and use that as a challenge to get it done. There are also Vastu remedies that are available. So many times when we do feel like the window situation where it could be the best version of that layout, we kind of use certain remedies in Vastu, which the Vastu gurus give us, which kind of help the layout and the aesthetics, but at the same time also adhere to the Vastu principles of directions. It's basically about energy. So I feel that if the energy of a space is good, it automatically attracts people. So maybe Vastu, I feel, is in is kind of focusing on that.
About science, and it's become more of a fear.
I did a dissertation in college in Vastu under Pandit Harimohan Sharma in the Hindu University. For almost 6 months, I learned from him. And believe me, it's only in pure science.
Exactly, science.
Pure science. It's only to do with your natural energies, and it's
We're just using it wrongly. I mean, that's about it. But nobody would believe us. So yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And now that we're coming towards the end of our podcast, I would want to talk to you all as leaders in this industry. What do you think you all as individuals or your practices as a whole are doing to transform and reimagine this entire industry? And how do you think we as solution providers in the building material space can help you all transform this industry?
So I strongly believe that as designers, we curate lifestyles. We help improve people's day-to-day livelihood, the way they will wake up, what they will see, how will they walk to their kitchen, and what will they feel, touch, everything. And I always also believe that change starts from small and then becomes big. So if each of us as designers start making small homes that are beautiful to live in and are making our clients happy, soon we'll have a community of homes that are beautiful and people are happy to live in, and then we'll have larger spaces and cities that where people are living a healthy quality of life. And I strongly believe that we are doing that, and which is our superpower again as designers. And as change makers, or as a co-collaborator on our projects, where you come into the pictures, of course, helping us envision what we want to give our client. And I think you all are doing a great job at that. Yeah.
I think you all are very consistent, dedicated. I'm seeing it from, so many years. One of the first brands and suppliers I've worked with has been Classic Marble. and you've been evolving and growing, and I feel it's also an inspiration for us. And that collaboration, like you mentioned, is something that drives us, because again, it's teamwork. The teamwork makes the dream work. So it's about having the right partners when you work together, be it your clients, your suppliers, your brands. And when you see that enthusiasm, you kind of get the same energy, and it just helps you. And when it comes to our brand, we are trying to make a difference in a lifestyle, creating a sense of well-being, appealing to all your five senses when you are circulating in a space, how you perceive the space, for example, the light that comes in, the textures that you feel, the layering, the colors, for example. Colors play such an important role, at least for us. So that really matters, drawing inspiration from a client. That's why no two homes of ours or no two spaces of ours look the same, because no two people are the same. Clients are different. So you need to cater to them. You need to draw inspiration from how they dress, for example, how they travel, what they like, which hotel they stay at when they travel. So I feel that gives you a lot of data into who you're catering to. And yes, because we are into furniture designing, we do want to get into the space of creating something unique for our clients, creating those highlight elements that just elevate the space. And yes, eventually cater to the mass of India, because using our skilled workmanship really will benefit. And like you said, the economy today of India is one of the best in the world. So I feel it's the right time for us, and we are so blessed to be here now at this time making this happen. So yeah, it can't get better than this.
I think one thing with Classic as a service provider is the product diversity is just insane. Every time we take clients marble shopping, it ends up ending at Classic because there's just so much variety to see that they're like, you should have just brought us here in the first place. So I think another important thing with your company is that we're always told, like, we recommend that you use this for this finish, or we recommend that this gets used as a wall, or this is a porous material, don't use it as a holiday home flooring. And I think that is what our practice really strives to emulate, because as a practice, we try to strike a perfect balance between what's aesthetic and what's practical. And I think your company does the same thing, and it's just at the end of the day, that's what designing is all about. It's about creating something that looks good and that can work well. So I think that's what basically our personal brand is about.
So before we conclude, I want to ask you a question.
I have another one for you.
You tell me, what is the next 10 years of Classic going to look like?
That's a good
You've
one.
asked a Gen Z question, you've asked the millennium question, and the future of interior design. I want to ask you, how do you perceive Classic in the next 10 years?
It's going to go beyond than just a marble service provider. You're going to see it diversified into several different segments relating to the building industry space. So yeah.
Great.
Great, we
Yeah.
can't wait to see.
I know,
We
that
can't
will be
wait to
really
see that.
exciting. But I always tell Amit also, Manit, that just the way he has filled and identified all the gaps that exist in the
industry.
market. For example, it started with marble, it transitioned into the Kalinga stone, which is the composites and the quartz, and then it didn't end there. It went into your
Tiles,
it went
Callisto
into your
flex.
tiles in different
Yeah.
thicknesses. So I feel that when it comes to being a solution provider and evolving with time, your father is someone that we need to draw inspiration from. So I think that's like the perfect way to end this, but I truly mean it from my heart.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Great.
One last question. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Me?
Yeah.
Patience.
Honestly,
Absolutely.
I would tell
our
myself,
younger
yeah,
selves,
yeah,
yeah.
we're not that old, firstly.
Yeah.
But I would tell myself, don't follow design trends. Because when I was fresh out of college, I was like, okay, this is trending. I have to do it. I have to make my client be inspired by it. And you know, when you realize, like, actually, the point at which I realized this was when I was doing my own family home. And I realized if I'm going to be influenced by these trends in 5 years, I'm not going to like this anymore. And I can't put my client through that. So, I think my one piece of advice I'd give myself is follow these trends when it comes to maybe replaceable items. Like pick a cool carpet, pick cool art, you can change it in a few years. But when it comes to your shell, your flooring, your walls, pick timeless and classic elements that don't date.
So my advice to my younger self would be to learn to say no to projects that you don't enjoy doing. We've gotten into the trap a lot of times doing things that we don't enjoy, clients we don't like we don't enjoy being around.
Resonate with.
Or resonate with, especially design sensibilities don't
Absolutely.
resonate with. And I only wish I'd learned that earlier, that say no to work even if you're hungry.
I think I would just tell my younger self that you're going to get there. So just be patient and just be consistent and dedicated. Uh, put in all your hard work, give it your best, and your dream will be realized one day. And also, I would like to tell all the women that lead a balanced life, and also please take care of your mental health. I feel that goes unnoticed in our country. There's not much attention to that. But being happy and kind of balancing your life correctly, I'm sure you will know, and all of you all will know, is so important. So if you're happy in all your aspects in life, can you deliver your best?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's some great advice. Anyway, I would like to thank all of you all for coming in, having this wonderful
Thank you,
conversation.
Manit.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.